and Tamami were all with us in Masters. So we had a super awesome time in Masters, and we have just come back from a 3-day retreat all about 2019. So we have some very, very exciting things to share about what we are actually planning for the year ahead, or what it looks like, and all the plans around that as well. So if there are a disproportionate number of people listening to this recording, well, that's okay. We will run with those who are on the call and cover things, and maybe we'll see how it goes. If a lot more join us, but if not, we'll make it a tighter call. And we are going to start with a little walk around. So here I go. I'm gonna take out my plug here and share with you all where I am right now. Here is Sandra. There's Sandra.
Hey everybody. Hey.
Yeah. So there's Sandra there. Here is everyone over there. We just had everyone come back from Bongan, which is where we were, and we basically are now all kind of just having different meetings and stuff here. So here's Michelle, for example.
Losing you.
There's Michelle. Are you still losing me?
Losing you.
A little bit. There's Simone.
Yeah,
Here. I've actually gone.
Back again now.
I'm back again. Yeah. Okay, we have Angie. Oh, Angie's on the call as well. There's Angie. There's Angie looking at me. Here's Martine. We got everyone here. There's Renata. It's like everyone's. Yeah, a number of people is thinning out as everyone kind of finishes up with their work at the moment. So let me get back to my seat and plug in my headphones here. All right. Okay, better. All right, so let me just plug in, so we're all good here. It's fabulous. So Michelle, because you're limited on your time, I'd love for you to share with everyone just biggest key things and learnings, and things that partners would be excited to hear about from both what happened through Masters and then what happened over our retreat.
Hey everybody! Wow. Well, it's been pretty full on. So 5 days at Masters, 4 days at the team meets. So it's been pretty full on the planning side. And what I'm most excited about is basically the fact that Genius U is going to go from doing $10 million of revenue this year to doing $30 million of revenue next year, possibly even more. And pretty much $29 million of that $39 million is going to come from the partners. So that's you guys, right? So that's a fairly significant chunk. And half of that $29 million is coming from, well, actually less than half is coming from Entrepreneurs Institute and Entrepreneur Resorts, and the rest is coming from our mentors, our Genius partners. So we've been pulling together the plan for launching in January our 4 Keys program, which is actually taking our top mentors, our top partners, you guys, people who are doing the Genius U Partner Accelerator, people who are already like our services clients, actually hand-holding them through the whole process of getting them into Genius U, so that you have a one-stop shop. So at the moment, the challenge that most of you have is that you've got all your products in that you're selling in one place, maybe on a website or maybe on Amazon. You've got all your events in Eventbrite and Meetup and different places like that. Your online courses in Udemy, your communities in Facebook and LinkedIn, and all of these different places, they don't speak to each other and they don't actually help you to create a pipeline. They don't help you to build trust. So the way we've been building Genius U in this last 6 months and continue to build now up to the Genius U annual conference is actually having all of that in one place where you can link everything. So you can put all your micro degrees on Genius U. You can have all your products now on Genius U. All your products linked to your company, linked to your personal profile. All of your circles linked to your products.
Has Michelle dropped off? Michelle, you died? Yeah. Do you want to use Angie's? Angie's still on. Okay, Michelle's jumping over to Angie's one. Just unmute Angie. Angie, you need to unmute. Okay, and maybe Angie, if you just turn your computer so we can see Michelle.
Turn your computer.
Turn your computer so we can see Michelle.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm showing you the move. We can't hear you, Michelle. You just muted yourself again.
Okay, you guys should be able to hear me now. So this is weird. I'm on Angie's computer. My computer's logging back in so she can log on to mine. Let me just mute myself on there. Turn it around so you can see me. That's it. This is really weird. I'm on all the different computers. So I was saying that basically now Genius U is the one-stop shop, right? So you've got it's the Amazon for entrepreneurs. So you've now got all your products are going to be in there, linked to all your circles. All your circles are where the communities are connecting up. All of that data is being stored on Salesforce. All of your online learning is in that platform as well. All of your events are in there. So basically, it's one place where everything is. And when somebody looks at a product today, it's pretty much the product that they first see is the one that comes up on Amazon. And it's going to be the same when they're searching for products or services or events that are entrepreneurial. It's going to be the stuff that's on Genius U that's going to come up. So we're going to handhold 60 of our top partners and mentors through the process of bringing you on, putting everything onto Genius U, understanding how you do that, how you use the platform to really drive your revenues to add at least 30% in this next 12 months. So that's what I'm most excited about. That's what I've been working on. But as a team, we've basically been going through a mini masters. That's what we've been doing as a team, and each putting together our full 12-month program. So, and hopefully some of you are going to come to the Genius U annual conference, which is where we're launching all of this, and actually going through it in a lot of detail and showing you all the different aspects that you can use on Genius U as well. So that's pretty much from my side, I think. See if I can get my online now.
Michelle, that's really the exciting bit around the developments on Genius U related to partners. But just in terms of your own experience of the whole group of companies and connecting with everyone over the last 3 days, and biggest things that came out of that for you personally.
So the team meet's been absolutely phenomenal. I think it was this time last year in September that we took Entrepreneurs Institute and split it into 3 companies. So we split it into Entrepreneurs Institute, Entrepreneur Resorts, and Genius U. And everyone's been really busy focusing at building those businesses and separating them out and growing teams and everything. And what's happened is this is the first time we've come together as a group of companies since that time. We've all been doing our own team charters, our own team meets, and coming together and actually talking very, very in depth, really, like pretty much the whole of day one, focusing at like the culture, the vision of the collective vision and the collective culture of the 3 companies, and even to the point where we've talked about now what is the actual group company as well. What's the group of companies? What's that collective? Just an amazing experience. We've got so many talented people across the 3 companies now. So really aligning those 3 companies in a way that's allowing us all to leverage off each other immensely, but also to learn off each other as well. So it was very humbling to be with the team. We were in this beautiful space, which wake up every morning, there's this gorgeous, massive crashing rocks and sea that I was seeing. And I think we achieved so much in the space of 3 days. To walk away with our full plan. So just a beautiful experience and a lovely group of people we've been hanging out with as well.
Fabulous. All right. Thank you very much, Michelle. And I'm going to come over to Angie. We're going to cover, Angie's up in a moment. But first of all, because Angie actually was with us representing Genius School, I'd love you, Angie, to share your experience of us all being together over the last 3 days and what you got out of the experience.
Okay. Hi, everybody. It's been an amazing 3 days. It was like a mini masters, but on steroids. So it was really good to be working with the AI team and getting understanding how all the companies link together. And I guess it's all the world game. We are changing the world as entrepreneurs, and to see the teams across all the businesses go through their plans and work together in a way that is towards really one common goal, and that includes Genius School, was really cool. I loved it. And for me, the biggest thing I got out of it was the most amazing plan. So I really can't wait to get back and get started on it. So although the plan is for 2019, there's so much I can be doing right now that will really tick off some of them action steps. So yeah, very excited.
Awesome.
1.2 million revenue plan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, just give us just a bit of an overview. You just said the number, 1.2 million revenue, and then if you just share with everyone what that breaks down into in terms of the different products or services that Genius is going to be providing.
So that breaks down into 26 micro camps, 4 Genius Educator certification trainings, 3 per quarter, 12 GEC trainings, 26 micro camps, and 4 family camps. So the family camps are the retreat camps. Yeah, 1 week long retreats with families and children, parents and children. So it breaks down quite nicely over the 4 quarters.
Awesome, fabulous. And given that and Manji's actually about to go out to Thailand tomorrow and join Pat, who's already got 9 Genius Entrepreneur certified people ready to get certified, which is pretty awesome. So we're going to have more educators kicking off in Thailand, which is awesome. So Angie, I know we've been like sharing all the way through, but hey, look, here we are in the partner circle. You get to share whatever is biggest question you'd like to throw into this circle, in addition to all the other questions that we've been answering all over the last week.
My biggest challenge is actually coming up with the questions, because I feel like, I know that sounds terrible, but it's from a point of clarity. So I do have that question around splits, but I think I'd rather email you that than go through it now, because it might take time to talk through it.
Yeah, no problem.
So I do have a question. However, this call's not the right place.
Got it.
I am looking forward to going back and sharing with my team, with my current team members and partners, what's been happening here. So I guess that could be a question on how you see I could best go about that, given that we're global. I know I've got some time with Pat in Thailand, but I don't feel enough time to do it justice. So I was thinking that maybe have 2-hour Zoom call. But yeah, any advice on that?
Yep. Okay, awesome, fabulous. Okay, I'm gonna come over next. Next, we're gonna come over to. Well, I can see here we have got John, who has written some notes here. Highlight is spoke with a number of people with online travel accommodation services booking platforms, gain some great understanding of the challenges they're facing with getting trusted potential clients and offering experiences instead of holidays. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on right now, for sure. So several people we spoke to said that they would like to be paying customers for a trial, which is awesome. And then we've got here the question side, which at the moment appears to be blank. So let me, John, ask you, basically, do you actually have a question here?
Yeah, I actually do. I was in a bit of a rush this morning. I'm actually at Siemens. This is actually a Siemens office, believe it or not. So it's actually wallpaper. It's not quite as spectacular as where you are. Yes, it was more around. So we've had a great month actually. So off the back of the last call, where you said, look, you really need to find your niche and figure out what you're going to do, and you gave the example of Twitch. And so Chandrash and I kind of said, right, yeah, let's just do this. Let's make this happen this month, and we've done that. I also had a great call with Danny as well, and of course he has a whole load of travel experience in his background too, so we were able to kind of really had a good conversation with him. And what we decided was that we wanted to have a look at tourism and travel and see if there was a place for Yugo World to actually solve some problems that they have. And there were 2 key areas, I think, where there was immediate, an obvious value. One of them was in the conversion process. So one of the things I didn't realize was that when people go and book accommodation and flights or something like that, there's this huge overwhelm that potential customers have when they're actually trying to do that. There's so much choice and there's so little differentiation between the products, as you can see, as they're advertised on websites, that conversion rate on a travel website for accommodation, for example, according to the stats I found, something like 2%. Whereas if you look across all industries, you'd expect more like 10%. So there seems to me to be like a real potential there to if we can engage people well at that stage, to increase conversion rates when they're booking accommodation or flights or whatever. So I started talking to various people about that who actually have these sites, and they came back to me and said, yeah, John, this is a really big problem. We've actually, I was talking to one person who said they went out and captured data that showed that someone booking a hotel would have like 37 tabs open in their browser while they were trying to make a decision about what to buy. So I was thinking, well, imagine then if you could really engage them by saying, meet their need, which is to know that what they're booking, which is one of the biggest purchases they're going to make that year, is actually going to meet their needs. And what better way than to actually have a look? So look before you book, So I put together a kind of workflow based around Elite Havens, which is, you probably know, the friends of the Harrises. And I had a great call with Alan, and took his website and said, this is what it could look like. And within his website, we integrated a button, just a mock-up with a button that showed how you could then talk to the reservations team, how the reservations team can then connect you with a guide at the villa who can show you around, answer your questions. Then the control comes back to the reservations team who can then complete that booking process, and the feedback and all the rest of it can happen there. I then took that out to various other people, and they all saw value in that. And a second use case then came out, which was post-purchase. So how do you make that holiday happen sooner for them? So how about, same sort of thing that you guys do for iLab, where you have all the calls leading up to that to say this is what to expect. This is how you get through the airport. This is how you book a taxi. This is what the venues are going to be like. This is what your accommodation is going to be like. And actually start the process of enjoying that holiday from the moment they booked it rather from the moment they got to the airport. And there was a lot of interest in that as a value proposition as well. So it's kind of been really kind of honing down on those use cases and saying, how can we offer some really specific value in those places? And as a result of that, I've spoken to 4 people. My promo plan, which I have and sticking to, is to talk to 10 people and then convert 3 of them. I've spoken to 4 in the last week, and each of those are very interested. 2 of them have already said that they would pay to be part of a trial, and are connecting me with other people who could then come on. We can have that same discussion with them. So it's kind of the last couple of weeks, I feel like there's been a really big shift in momentum, which is quite exciting.
That's awesome. So I mean, so are these all kind of like high-end travel places? Is that like Elite Havens? Are they like that?
Yeah, so one of the people was Elite Havens. Another one was the travel company that actually booked Julie's travel out to the I Ching adventure, right? And his thing isn't, here's a holiday site, start by booking a villa or whatever. It starts with, well, what experience do you want to have as part of your holiday? And then that becomes the starting point for actually defining what it's going to be. So this is all high-end stuff. So he has customers that are spending, say, $40,000 on a holiday, something like that. And for him, being able, post the purchase, for that to actually start to engage them really early on when they've just dropped all this money on this holiday, and now they're starting to panic. Have they done the right thing? Are they going to, do they need help? How are they going to actually, it's this kind of, I guess, the buyer's remorse part of the sales cycle, trying to manage people through that. And he felt that would be a really good way for him to add value to his experiences that he's offering, and then to increase his rebooking rate after they've come back, because they've had this really a good experience of being helped through the process of really enjoying their time.
What's your thought in terms of what you want to be charging people for the first test?
Well, my initial thought was that we would split the thing in 2 ways. So there'd be an integration fee, because I think the first thing is that it's got to be really important that this happens inside their website. So we don't want to be taking people out of their website where they can then get tempted and distracted by other offerings. So there's going to be some kind of integration fee, be a one-off fee where, let's say, I don't know, a few $1,000s maybe, say $3,000 to $4,000, something like that. That would then get a button and all of the windows that are needed actually inside their website. And then we'd charge a service access subscription fee as well. Exactly what that would be at this stage, I'm not sure, but perhaps we would be, maybe longer term, we'd be looking at something like $150 a month, something in that kind of order. Or maybe we can offer that as an annual subscription. Maybe that would suit them better as part of their sales cycle, because obviously they're probably on a seasonal rhythm anyway. So it was kind of that order I was thinking. Whether we can go for that full amount at this, while we're still proving the return on investment, I'm not sure. But that would be where we're heading for. For me, so I put this into a promo plan at the moment would be a 6-month promo, because we've got such a big run up to get to that point. But I'm looking at this as a $45,000 promotion plan initially, to actually get those trials in place and start demonstrating that we can deliver value in that way.
So have they given you an indication of how much they'll charge? I missed that. You said
we didn't get into specific figures, but they I felt that it was in the thousands of dollars was kind of where it seemed to be, that seemed to be where we were settling out based on the discussions we were having. So I was very much trying to get them to tell me what the value was to them. So it was sort of following yours and Danny's advice. And it kind of felt like it was around about there somewhere during the trial period. Then obviously, if we can then go on and demonstrate an ROI, then we can actually fix our figure, fix our pricing based on the ROI rather than, this kind of place we're at the moment, which is proving the value.
Okay, got it. Okay. All right. Okay, I've got some thoughts around that, but that's really, really good progress. That's awesome. Fabulous.
Cool, thanks.
Very cool. All right. I am going to come over next to Jan, and I was looking a moment ago, and it didn't look like at that point Jan had added any info, and it still looks like he has now. Yes. So highlight positive movements on projects, promotion of Entrepreneurs Mastermind program, upgrade on Wealth Dynamics and Profile website, partnership with Taru, which is great. Radical was out as one of our mentors, had a fabulous time, and is doing great stuff. We had some new master trainers join us. So now my question is, how do you keep the community and annual mentoring mastermind group engaged and excited beyond the first 3 to 4 months? Okay. So Jan, I'd love to hear just the experience around the question. How has it been going? What's worked well with the way you're doing the masterminding? What have you found being the most challenging thing?
Hi, Roger.
Hello.
Hi there. So we have had the experience with the Genius Entrepreneurs Mastermind here, about 30 people, and many people have been quite engaged. Some of them were okay with English. Many relied on the local structure, both for translating the calls and also for the Q&A session, which I'm running every month along with it. Also, we are meeting on a bi-monthly basis, which is happening on Friday. It's an extra charge, but they're coming, and it's like a physical mastermind group where we cover a few topics, and then we have circles of them brainstorming things and advising each other. And it has been good in terms of the show-up rates. It has been good in terms of engagement, but I'm feeling that there is a little bit of waning off at this moment. And particularly as I'm preparing, a more high-level mentoring program, I'm wondering, how to keep it tight and keep it engaged, because one is to expect that certain things will lose their novelty, and we have a lot of creators. So, it's becoming repetitive, and I feel it on myself as well. It's becoming like, okay, we're just going through the same motions. It's exciting once we're engaged, but kind of the support element of it, and the engagement element, and the reminders element. Like, some people missed the call because there was a winter time change, so they showed up at 10 a.m. rather than 9 a.m. and things like this. So it's not a problem, by all means. This is not a problem. I'm just really thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Because I would like to kind of set things in motion and set structures in place so that it supports the program.
Yeah. No, totally got it. Okay, awesome. Okay, so let me share my best thinking around that as we go, and I'm going to go through that on the elements as well, right? So, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to. What I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to answer both your questions, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to then go through, for those who come back and listen to this recording, kind of like the key things that we're excited about for this coming year. So for all partners to really get an idea of as we're kind of moving forward into our new pathway. So first I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to start. I'm going to come back to Angie, right? Because we're going to be talking at the end on all our plans and stuff like that. So I'll come back to Angie. So I'm going to start with John first of all. Just about use cases for AR. Like, there's this really cool article here, which I will drop into the. Yeah, this picture was actually taken about 2 hours ago, right? It was all of us here in Genius Cafe, which is obviously where we still are. So let me just drop this link in. So this here is like the $1 trillion 3D telepresence goldmine, right? So this is a story all around, like, the whole concept of telepresence and being able to actually be somewhere else wherever you happen to be. And you can see here, as they go through, what are the different ways that things are going to really transform, one of them 100% is video conference systems, right? Like no question. I mean, imagine being at a board meeting where instead of being at that board meeting and or at a workshop, you know, where you're actually able to be there and get connected to others, like, you know, face to face, other than just everyone's sitting looking at a screen, right? It changes the whole environment if that kind of thing happens. Obviously, going to conferences and stuff, same thing. Robotic telepresence, right, which obviously is going, you know, to places where humans can't normally go, whether it's the moon or under the water or anything like that as well, right? Obviously. Remote experts, right, where you actually have someone who's expensive that's looking at an oil drill, or you've got a coach who, one of the couples who were at our Wealth Dynamics Masters, they are launching, in fact, they're going to connect up with you, because I gave them, Takayushi is his name, and I gave them your contact, John, because they run already one of the larger NLP training companies, and they want to become the #1 digital coaching companies in Japan. So they want to basically take experts or people that are coaching or mentoring others and go through a mentoring program wherever they happen to be and see what they're seeing, and then give them tips on how to go about coaching better, that kind of stuff, which is pretty awesome. So remote experts is a really big one. And then VR telepresence, which is basically, you know, sharing a virtual world, Oculus rooms, outer space, but obviously this is different because it's now really talking about a virtual world you're projecting yourself into rather than a real world. And obviously AR telepresence is a lot of what we're talking about here, where you're going into a whole different space where people are then all connecting with each other in real time. And then it goes on to a number of others. But you get the idea of the different elements. I'm going to go one step further from what is happening here, and really like make a distinction between, first of all, demand-driven versus supply-driven, right? So what I mean by that is driven equals dollars, right? So demand-driven is basically the user pays, versus supply-driven is the sponsor or the person who's doing it pays. Yeah. So, for example, someone might pay to go to a concert, a Beyonce concert, where they want to pay to be on the front row, or they want to pay to be in the front row of a boxing match, or, you know, like a sports game. So they'll pay for that. But the person who's running the game actually doesn't need to be paid for it, right? They're just doing their thing. They're making money anyway. So that would be one example. Or the opposite example is where you would have like a store where, or the people you're talking about to right now, who are like, you know, the travel agents, the travel companies, where they're saying, hey, we've got people that like spend 30 grand, 40 grand to come see us. They want to kind of check it out beforehand, right? So you kind of like, you know, going down that route. And which one is the easier one to be able to access and connect to get people already trialing it out, and it's most likely to grow, right? Like which one of those two? So there's a decision to make as to which one of those makes most sense. There's also a second thing which is really critical, which is the difference between 1-to-1, right? Which is exactly what, you know, John just gave the example of, where you've got, you know, like a super high paying client that wants to basically have that one-to-one experience where he's just there with one person viewing through his eyes, versus one-to-many, which is obviously, you know, what we were doing at our events, when Jenna would have a whole bunch of people looking through her eyes all at the same time, and actually having that experience as well, right? And this is also really super important, you know, in terms of whether you're going to be going for magnify, which is where, you know, people are actually going to be paying more, but there's fewer of them, versus multiply, where you're going for larger numbers that are getting involved in something and getting them going, right, as you go. In my experience, the one which has got highest traction, right, and fastest growth is most likely to be the one which is user pays, right, so demand driven, and one-to-many. So you know, you took the example of Twitch. Twitch is demand driven in that it wasn't the actual people, the gamers, who were paying money. They were the ones getting paid. It was the ones who wanted to have that experience, who were willing to log on and have that experience, who were the ones that were willing to pay. And that was one-to-many, because then one person can end up making a lot of money, where they go, whoa, this is way better, because they're making all this money, you know, with all these guys coming in. Because at this point, it's not going to take a lot of time. Like, it's not going to take a lot, but if someone's one-to-one, like this is already happening in the real estate industry. You know, if I want to buy $1 million property, and I'm trying to figure out, is this a property that's the right property for me before I even go and do a shortlist, or if I'm thinking about going to an auction, and I want to, at the auction, like, look at the different things before I make a bid. People are already doing this, just using their mobile phone and just turning it just straight onto like WhatsApp or video, right? And they're just basically, just like saying, hey, here's what's happening, and walking around with the phone, so you can still see everything. It's just not the same as actually putting the goggles on, right, and being hands-free. But it's still telepresence, right? It's taking you around, it's seeing, it's like, okay, this is the right thing for me. I want a short list of it. I love the view. I love the way it works. Walk this way, walk that way. All the one-to-one stuff is actually very easy. But you can't do the one-to-many very easily that way right now today, unless you're using something like Periscope, right? Where everyone's then on Periscope doing that. But that's a niche thing. And that grew massively, by the way, because of that too. Whereas if you go for demand-driven, which is people saying, oh, I really want this thing because it's really high value, and the person that you're doing it with actually is like, yeah, I want this thing too, because I can make more money out of doing this, and it's hands-free, then you'd be saying, okay, well then effectively you're going for some of the people that are either the YouTube or the either YouTube market or the market for Twitch. So for example, downhill skier, right? Who basically is like, okay, cool. I've just been given this these goggles, and I'm gonna like go skiing with this, and I'm gonna get this experience, right? Where I'm gonna then share it with all my viewers. Challenge with that obviously is like internet connection. So then you go, right, so we're ready for that yet, right? Or you say, okay, well, someone on a concert, right, where you're actually gonna put this thing on, and all of their fans are gonna be able to see through their eyes from backstage all the way onto stage, right? Will Smith, right? You go to Will Smith and you say, look, you're creating this incredible brand for yourself, and you're doing this basically through all of your viewers, or kind of watching on YouTube, on YouTube Live. Try this, where you put this on. We can stream this on YouTube, but it's now looking through your eyes, right? And it's effectively like GoPro Live, right? But it's an experience which is going to give people a whole different pathway to then know about Yugo World, and then go, I want to get on Yugo World as well, right? And be willing to then actually lift up to a level where they're willing to pay for it, right, in the future as well. So these are all things where it's so much faster to scale if you take some use cases which are demand-driven and one-to-many. Now, of course, at the moment, what you're doing is the opposite. You're doing supply-driven, which is okay. I mean, you want to test it, so that's one good thing to test. Supply-driven, and you're doing one-to-one. So it's like, all right, well, that will take you somewhere. And the fact that you're actually speaking to people and they go, I see a value in this. I want to try to put this thing on and see how it works, and I'm willing to pay for it as well. So I have a kind of unique, lift on my competition. Great, right? Then that's a good start. But if I was you, I would look at this and say, right, well, the fact that we're actually going out and speaking to people, which is the best thing that you're doing, let's look and say, well, what's the difference of us speaking to people in one area and potentially testing a number of use case areas where this is happening, like where we can actually get an actual result on something which is like really high value. So, for example, you could say, right, so one area clearly is travel, right? So on the travel side, this is where we're going to go for kind of like the one-to-many experience, right? We don't have a big, like, until you bring two groups together, where there's a real, there's already something that's really of value, and you're bringing something where a whole bunch of people are coming together for this experience, until you have that, that's where you get stuck, right? Is that like, okay, where can I go with this to start to grab a viewer group and bring them on board, right? Let's take the example, right, of on travel, you going one down one route, which is basically, clients, high paying clients, working with basically, high priced, resorts, for example, or villas or whatever, right? Which is what you're doing. There's a big difference of doing that compared to something which is like travel, okay, where you're actually getting something like a YouTube channel, Yugo World YouTube, right? With basically, with telepresence, with HoloLens, but where you're saying YouTube channel, and it's like, backstage access, right? Where you're actually going to say, all right, let's actually choose a couple of different things that people might want to travel to, where we're going to kind of go do some cool stuff, right? Like, like Sydney Harbour fireworks, right? The turning of the lights for like, Thanksgiving, like, Thanksgiving festival in New York, whatever, like something where people would go, oh, I want to go see that thing, but I'm not going to go travel to do it. So they go and actually experience that. Or like, going to a concert, right? It's like, we're going to pick a concert where lots of people are going to go to it. We'll get a whole bunch of people coming and watching, and we're actually going to show up there, and we're going to go backstage, and we're going to kind of do a deal with the people there. So they're not going to pay you anything, but then people actually say, I want this, and you can do the first one for free, and everyone goes, that's awesome. And then you can start charging for it, right? And actually do like, a prime version of YouTube. So where they go, wow, I really want to be a part of this, right? Or you just basically connect up with the likes of Red Bull, right? And you do something on sport, right? So something where you're actually going one-to-many is definitely a possibility. And then you have a lot more people that will come towards it, especially if you've got some kind of celebrity, sports person or that you're already connected with saying, here's what we're doing. And they're all wanting something out of this, which is, I want to build my viewership. I want to try something new. I'm going to do something different. And this actually allows them to do that straight away. However, I would think that the easiest one to do is actually to take a specific, so this is like now talking business, right? To take a specific expo, like, Comdex, right? Where you say, we're going to give you virtual access to Comdex. And you contact Comdex and you say, hey, this is what we're going to be doing. We're taking tickets, we're taking front row tickets, we're taking all your, premium, things to go to. And we're going to be having people view from around the world, and they might say, no, we don't want you to do that. But I'm pretty sure they're going to say, well, that's kind of cool. And you say, look, we're going to charge people for that, and we want to pass on the money to you as well, right? Do you want to sponsor this? Do you want to get involved in this? They might say, no, we can do it, right? That's fine. But like, we're not really getting involved in it. So you go do your thing. You could say, hey, we're going to take out a booth at Comdex to share about this. And this is one of our stunts, right? That we're going to go around and do this. And they're going to go, great, because they just want to sell us booth space. So now you got the booth space. And then you go to all the other people who've got the booth space and you say, hey, we're going to have a whole bunch of people that are going to hear as Comdex is coming up that we're going to be there virtually. And we're going to be visiting like 10 different booths. And if you'd like us to come visit your booth, then here's the cost and here's how many people we think is going to come on board. And some of them will definitely pay you, right? They spent all this money already to actually be at Comdex. Like, what's the difference of another couple of £1,000, right? So then you're actually making the money to pay for your trip to go out there, to meet all the awesome people out there, to show them this cool stuff that you've got. And if you then went out and started targeting by LinkedIn marketing, Facebook marketing, anyone looking for Comdex tickets, visit Comdex virtually by Yugo World, right? You would have people going in there, and if you show them, hey, it's this much for a Comdex ticket, it costs you 10% by doing it by Yugo World. You get to go around the expo, interactive. You get to share, like with the other people that are coming there as well. You get to ask questions. If you're looking to check in on some of the stores, we're going to be sharing that with you as well. Like, it's a real live experience of actually being there, right? You're going to definitely get a whole bunch of people wanting to pay. Now you've got both sides paying, right? But you've actually taken a specific event. So remember, Airbnb got started by taking a specific event, which was basically, I think it was South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, where they said, that's the event where we're going to just get a whole bunch of homes on Airbnb, and we're just going to focus at that one thing, right? And so, of course, they then went out and targeted all the people coming in South by Southwest looking for accommodation, where Airbnb showed up as an option, and that's how they basically proved their model, right? So a specific expo or event where you're actually then connecting or putting the dollars, right, on both the viewer side, right, where they're going to pay, or maybe you don't even get them to pay. Maybe you can get just the actual expo guys, the stands to pay. You can work it both ways, right? You might say, well, it's free to view a whole bunch of it. Then if you want to come backstage and actually see, like, we have a special ticket to go to X or Y or Z, and if you come with us on those ones where we get to meet certain people, well, then you pay an extra bit to do that, right? So then you kind of like play it both ways. And then at the same time, you've actually got either the sponsors themselves or the booths, right, paying. And then that gives you actually a use case for pretty much every expo around the world, right? Like, there's going to be so many expos out there. Imagine the number of people that want to go to some of the big expos in China to find the right people there in China, and they don't speak Chinese. I mean, imagine that the fact that you're going to have you're going to be virtually walking around with someone who speaks English and Chinese, who's going to get you all the answers you want, like, without you needing to know Chinese, because they're going to basically translate and do it. I was like, that's gold, right? And you can actually target those people because they're all going and Googling to find the site anyway. And when they Google to find the site, your ad shows up to say, join virtually, where you can have conversations with anyone with Chinese translation in real time. It's like that's just gold. So I really think that by just doing that and testing it, like, you can't lose, because even if you don't make all the money you want to make to begin with, what you're going to find off the back of it is you're going to find that basically even just going to something like Comdex, you're actually already meeting, it's paying your way. I mean, you get to travel free. You'll get to basically like meet awesome people. You'll get new opportunities where people go, holy cow, that's the most awesome thing. Can you do that for me as well? And then that like leads out to something which can grow very fast. And obviously, you guys already have, experience at events. You could, we've talked about that with our events already, like in terms of actually having people, coming to our events too. But I really think that while, yes, you can do travel as one test, I would pick one more test out of these ones. So you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, because the last thing you want to do is to do something where you spend lots and lots and lots of time with this one-to-one kind of like supply-driven model. And they go, oh, that was really awesome. Now I'm going to go to my board and see what we can do. And then you end up waiting for months to try and like wait for them to decide on something, even if they liked it. When in fact, this one, you're not waiting for anyone. You're like, this one, you're just doing it anyway. And then the one leads on to the next one. And it's just a matter of time before all the expos will be wanting them. And you will easily find people who say, hey, I'm willing to do this for free if I get a ticket to go to this expo and actually go out and meet all these different people through this. And you're going to have all these Yugo buddies around the world who are going to be doing this. So anyway, hopefully that helps just in terms of the clarity around use cases. I'm going to come over to Jan because one thing really, really important is this happens to everybody, right? Like this whole thing around, novelty, and like the fact that people kind of like get connected for novelty. So let's have a look and say, what are the reasons people stay engaged, right? So number one, novelty. Okay, it's like, it's new, it's like exciting, it's like, like I haven't learned this before, right? And that will always wear off after a couple of months, right? So second one is recognition, all right? It's like where someone's like, oh, I'm important here, I have to be here, right? Because everyone's expecting me to be here. I'm the speaker in this one, right? I get to share about what I'm up to and what I'm doing, right? It's my turn next month, so I got to show up for that one too. So you can always keep people engaged by giving them a pathway where you say, hey, every month we're actually going to have one or two of those here share their experience of utilizing these tools, and have a Q&A or have a hot seat where we get to actually use these tools to help them improve their own business. And next month is the turn of such and such, right? The month after, turn of such and such. Of course they're going to show up for that, because it's really important for them to be there. And anyone who actually has a go at actually being the one in the hot seat where everyone's helping them in their business, they're going to show up the next one as well, because they think it's kind of like lousy for them to be there, get everyone's value, and then not show up to the next one as well. So it kind of gets them more into this element of almost like not peer pressure, but peer responsibility. It's like I got to show up for the other guys because they showed up for me, right? And that always happens when you have recognition of some sort. So that's like super, super important to be actually, developing something on that aspect. By the way, novelty can also show up just in the same way, is that some people are always going to know they're going to learn something new. So that's like something that can be really, really valuable as well. There is a third thing which actually makes a huge difference to people staying engaged, which is momentum. So what does momentum look like? Well, I know a lot of people stay engaged with us because they see us constantly bringing on new people and constantly bringing in new clients. Crystal Circle, there's always new people that are showing up. In our events, there's always new people showing up. So as that's happening, someone's like, well, I can't leave because there might be amazing people next month. The momentum itself creates novelty because they see new people showing up and things are growing, right? So that momentum, and so how do you create that momentum where you're at? Recognition you get. Momentum is going to be about you saying, okay, what's the way that I can actually be getting people who are currently part of GEM to invite others along so they can get to learn about this as well? We'll have some of them come and join GEM as well. You don't have to wait for me to be there for you to sell GEM. You can be selling it every month, and actually people hearing about it, giving people a chance to experience it, or at least experience the intro call on it. That's the way for you to really grow it. And we know if we didn't have new people joining the stuff that we do, the old people will go, oh, well, nothing's really growing here. And no one sticks around where there isn't success, right? So success is what breeds success. And if there isn't any change or isn't any shift, people will then kind of leave, and that's just reality. That's what happens, right? The final thing, which actually is a pretty big thing today, is incentives, right? To have incentives to come back, like the fact that there's actually new things that are happening, or there are things you're going to be delivering to these people that other people don't get. So for example, to say, hey, by the way, for everyone who's coming for the next one, got a little surprise for everyone, because we're going to actually do this super special thing where we're going to go visit, like site visit to like, a local entrepreneur in town, or we got someone who's going to come in, guess we can speak about something really key. And on that, if you link between recognition, where you're saying people, if you had the opportunity with us as a group to be able to actually visit a site visit of a successful, like Czech company, or to hear from a particular person, who would that be? What would you want to learn about? Like, so you have those and go, okay, guess what, guys? Because we all voted and said this was the most important thing to learn about, or this is the most important thing for us to do, here's what we're now going to do, and you actually then go do it, right? Then that actually gets people coming back as well. So these are all things that actually you really need to think about in our community. We're constantly thinking about these 4 things, and super important to do it, where there's always something fresh, there's always something exciting, always something different. We do this here at Genius Cafe, right? Like here we are, we're on a Wednesday, it's still pretty full, right? There's all these people here, all going out onto the beach there, and we're constantly coming up with like new events and things for people to come back to. We've got like all of the different programs and things. When people come in, we train the staff to recognize them by their name and welcome them, know what their drinks are. So that's all the recognition side. They see, Genius Cafe going up to #1 in TripAdvisor, or the momentum side. And every time they come, we're giving them gifts to come back again, discounts for the next time they come back. So these are all the things that you'd expect any, retail store or any organization to be thinking through, knowing that people constantly will be triggered by things that are of value to them. But you've got to keep on creating those triggers, right? And it's an ongoing thing that you're doing. Okay, so those would be things I'd share around that. And for Angie, in terms of best ways to communicate, what I would say is, first of all, you heard what like Michelle's doing, what I'm going to be doing, setting up the time to have the group on a call, on that call to almost walk through the same things that we did at the actual retreat, where we actually started with the vision. So like showing them the whole vision and showing them the culture, and basically, walking through with them, here's the plan that we came up with, and getting their feedback on that plan, sharing the bigger plan, right? Sharing all the other kind of slides and things that we've already got on the team charters as well. Say, here's how this fits into all these other companies, right? Like Genius Group is going to be $100 million business, $100 million group in this next year, and it's on its way to $1 billion group, and we're all part of that, right? We're all part of something which is actually like got this massive critical mass to really make a difference in the world. So it excites people, and it gets them like, okay, I really like back to momentum. It gets people into like, okay, I really want to make sure that I kind of seal my place in this, because like in the beginning of anything new, in those first couple of years, the ones that are actually there and stick it out, there's so many people that regret like leaving Facebook early, right? Or so many people that regret leaving Google early, and there's many that left early. But the ones that stuck it out, they're the ones that then saw, kept on going trajectory. And at any point, they could have looked and said, this thing keeps on growing. So it's like, why would I be leaving if it keeps on growing? And in our case, that's obviously the case, as it's been growing as well. And the issue with most of the partners is a belief in themselves. Oh, can I actually get results in this? Is it really worth my time? But as they see the plan of where things are going, they can go, oh, it totally is worth my time, because I can actually see the growth and I can see the plan of where things are going off the back of this as well. So having, first of all, the session where you're getting everyone together, which I reckon could be like a 2-hour session. It doesn't have to be a whole day. And you're getting everyone together to actually just, walk through, here's the plan, here's the visions, and we want to make sure that this plan going forward, like you say, here's the actual team charter now for Genius School. We want to make sure this fits with everybody and everyone's playing a part which is right for you. So what's your vision of where you'd like to see things for yourself within the next year? And you connect that all back into the plan as well. So everyone's all part of that as you go. I want to share actually with everyone, just so you're all aware of like the key things, that we're doing going forward. That we have got, first of all, our plans overall for all the different businesses, and we've actually got them in here. These are already our 2019 team charters, right? So this is what we've been working at. And in the Entrepreneur Institute side, you can see here all the different elements. We have a new product range. So the product range, we're actually foundation side, starting for Entrepreneurs Inspiration, and then going through a number of free things that people can do. The Wealth Spectrum workshops, is really getting people already into the workshops that master trainers are doing. And then on Enterprise, it's Wealth Spectrum, Wealth Dynamics, one of our events, and then Wealth Dynamics Masters, and then Enterprise Circle. And Emerald, this is where it gets really exciting. We've got our Impact Meter linking also to Impact Dynamics. So I'm super excited by this, because this is where we are taking the Impact Meter, which you've all seen in our Impact, in all of our slides that we actually have on the Impact Meter. And we're actually turning the process of how to get from 0 to 1, or how to get from 1 to 2, like to 10 customers or to 100 customers, turning that into something called impact dynamics, which is the process itself. So impact dynamics is a process by saying, oh, if you want to go from 100 customers to 1,000, you need to put together a culture. You need to put together a team charter with a rhythm. You need to put together the financials. Here's how you do those things. And we'll actually have the templates and the systems for them to then do those things. And we'll have the trainers, who are the people, performance consultants, master trainers that we're training up, to go into the companies and to actually deliver on those things, right, in those companies. And so everyone wins, right? It means that they've got someone holding their hand. Because so many people, like, even on Crystal Circle, it's like, oh yeah, I get team charter is really valuable, but yeah, how do I do that, right? Or like, I get a promotion plan is really important, but like, can someone help me? And while we do some things like the business accelerator and so on to help you do a promotion plan, we don't have someone coming to you in your city, in your office, working with you alongside you to make sure you have these things in place. But we can, because we know how to do this stuff. So that's really a really powerful thing. Impact Dynamics effectively is like Scrum for leaders, right? It's like taking a system and it's making it work for the leadership team. And that's all part of the book, 10X Your Impact. So I had in the last week the conversation with Wendy Keller, the agent who took Millionaire Master Plan, made that a New York Times bestseller. And we're going to get our publisher in place by February this coming year, which is very exciting. And we have that book launched in the latter part of this year, in 2019. So that's going to be super exciting to actually have the book come out, have all the content, all the materials, and then the stories of how Facebook went through each level of the impact meter, right? Of how YouTube went through every step of the impact meter. So people go, wow, that's what they were doing at that level. And then look, they changed to this and they changed to that. So you've got like world-class companies alongside some of our own examples of people within our own community who are also on that path where they're going through it as well. So everyone can see we're all connected. And it wasn't like that the guys that went out and did the billion-dollar businesses were like super geniuses. It's just that they understood how to scale effectively and then actually made that scaling happen effectively as well, right? So anyway, that's all about the impact meter and what we're going to be developing around that, which is like really exciting. And then we're actually building all of this into really the basis of being a real training company, which is what we're looking to do as well. So we actually have got in here this, which shows the plan for next year. Transformation is all about going from a hungry caterpillar up to a butterfly, where instead of it being my time delivering on all of this, it's going to be basically having our trainers going out there and really developing us into like the number one, entrepreneur training company out there that's actually delivering more of the stuff as well. So that's the plan, and we've got our plan up to 100 million for this over the next 10 years. So we've got a bit of like a vision now of not just 2 years, but 10 years ahead on Entrepreneurs Institute. On Entrepreneur Resource, we're doing the same thing. We are going to be launching our first London hub. We're not going to call it a city hub. We're going to call it Genius Central. The way we have been designing things in the past was we had Entrepreneurs Institute as one company, Entrepreneur Resource as another one, Genius Users as another one, and people were like, okay, how do these things relate? So we're going to effectively bring it all under Genius Group. And then with Genius Group, you then have these 3 different companies. And then we add other ones, like Genius School then is another organization which is part of Genius Group. And anyone else who works with us in the same way would then create it in that way, which makes it much easier for everyone to then understand. And then from that, the whole idea of like having a citizen card as a Genius member and being able to get like, ability to connect with people across all the different companies. That's a really large part of what we're moving towards as well. So Entrepreneur Resource has got a big, plan for the future. We're very excited because I had a meeting with a guy called Patrick Grove. So Patrick, basically, this is his resume. He is a tech founder in his Wikipedia page. So he's a tech founder in Singapore of the Catcher Group. He's listed a whole bunch of different companies, and super exciting. I met with him because through mutual contacts, he wanted to connect with me, and I want to connect with him on how we could do some stuff together. He's taking 5 companies to IPO, mainly on the ASX, and he was like saying, you know what, we could take Entrepreneur Resource to ASX and list it there, which would give it much more liquidity. So we're going to do that this next year. And potentially even Genius U, we could actually list on the stock market, which we might do as well. So we've really got some great plans for Entrepreneur Resource going forward. And we're also, next week, I'm going to be going back to Thailand to really forward on with the deal we have around our resort down there as well, which is pretty exciting. So we have all of that going. And then also Genius U has got some big plans to get to $30 million revenue over the next year and really, as you heard from Michelle, build itself as a really solid tech company as well. So these are all the things that we went through. Where what I'm going to do now is put together a big plan for the coming year based on all the things that everyone else has gone through. We're going to have like a citizen's manual for everybody to kind of like know how to conduct themselves, and then basically really start developing up the branding for next year. So it all really kind of lifts itself to really what $100 million group of companies should be doing at that point as well. So I know many of you have been like, someone like Jan's been on this journey for us for 10 years, right? So you've seen just how things have evolved over time. Very, very exciting to be at this point where we're finally hitting the 8-figure mark. That gives you a bit of an overview on what we're up to, where we're going. And I'm going to keep this as a title call, given that it's just really the 2.5 of us. Angie's around saying goodbye to everyone right now. So I am going to now come back to each of you just to share whatever is biggest takeaway from this call for you, starting with you, John.
Yeah, okay, thanks for that, Roger. It's been great. You've been very generous with your time today, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, I really get what you're saying about going for the bigger groups of people, and then presumably we're competing then on experience, really, the quality of the offerings that we're giving with some of the, with like Facebook Live or whatever. Because that will be one of the questions that comes back, is then, well, how are we different from YouTube, and how are we different from that? But if we're always offering really good experiences, then hopefully that's what's going to generate the attraction. The other thing is, I don't know if you realize, but that YouGo.world is actually live and up as a platform now. We're already doing experiences on there, right? And
I didn't know that.
Ah, right. I wondered why you never put the link in the notes. I should have said something. But yeah, we've been doing that. And on Monday, we did a whole bunch of testing for...
When I go to your site, it says website coming soon.
No. It's been live at YouGo.world, yeah?
Yeah, I'm on YouGo.world. This is what it's saying to me.
Oh, no, it should be...
YouGo.world website coming soon.
No. Oh. No, I'll put a link in. I'll put a link in the notes in a sec, but it should be working.
Oh, okay, don't know why it's doing that. No,
I'll fix that. Anyway, but we were doing some test events for Diwali, right? So we had one of our guys was out at fireworks shop on Monday, and we were looking at office, stuff that was going on in the office there, and we've done a few other things. So we have got a lot of that in place, and it'll be super simple for us to be able to allow one-to-many calls. There'll be less, the voice interaction may have to go because we've got 1,000 people on the call. They can't all speak, but the text stuff can stay. So yeah, we can totally do that. So yeah, thanks a lot for your time, and I really appreciate it.
Awesome, thank you, John. Jan, how about for you? I'm man today.
Yeah, I'm Batman today. So. Yeah, actually, those 4 principles that you said for people to stay engaged, that's really helpful to clarify things, and also seeing, what I've been using and what not, and what has been consistently used and what not. And I'm looking about how to mix and match at the right time as well. So right now I have a good idea about this Friday, and we just ask people to bring a friend or a colleague with them just to increase engagement. So that's something very practical. I found it very, very practical.
Awesome. Very, very good. Fabulous. All right. And Angie.
I love your advice on linking everything back to the bigger picture, because I know from personal experience the last few days how valuable that is. So thanks for that reminder.
Fabulous. All right. Well, guys, it's been a tighter little call today, but it's great to catch up with everyone, and keep tuned for all the developments happening over the rest of this year. And we will catch up with you in the near future. See you guys. Catch up later. Bye.
Bye, Roger.